Hello, everybody. Welcome. So glad to see so many people here. Hopefully today will be both educational, get a little information, and try to be entertaining, but that's not exactly my jam, so I'll do what I can. So Jeff's right. You know, he and I spoke, this is my first State of the City address. He and I spoke earlier this week, and he said he was talking with Carrie, who we all know really runs the chamber, by the way, anyway. And he said he was reminded that this was my first State of the City address. And he said, man, it feels like you've been the mayor for a lot longer. Well, Jeff, you ought to try it from this side. You know, it's, yeah, it feels like it. So, no, I'm kidding. Really, guys, I absolutely love being the mayor of Victoria. This is my hometown. It's an opportunity for me to give something back, and I appreciate you guys putting me in this position to do that. So, with that, let's move forward. All right, first slide. I'm telling you, they made me put this up there. And I'm convinced it's so that people will know that I actually did go to college. So we're checking a box here. There's me, there's colleges, boom, we're done. All right. Let's talk about enhancing livability. 100%, that is the goal of the city, and that is our mission. Everything we do is geared towards enhancing livability. So I want to introduce you to the people that make that happen. Start with the leadership team. There you go, there's City Council. It is my honor and privilege to have the opportunity to serve with these folks. There's some familiar faces there and a couple of new faces. I'll start, District 1 is Rafael De La Garza. Is Ricky here? I didn't see Ricky. He's one of our familiar faces. No, he's not here. Our two new faces, District 2, Stephen Kidder. I think Mr. Kidder's in the back, and from District 3, April Butler. Those are new faces on the council. They're assimilating well and doing a great job. District 4, Jan Scott. She was reelected in an unopposed landslide in May, so that worked out great. Glad to have her back. And then our super districts, we have Mayor Pro Tem, Dr. Andrew Young, and Super District 6 is Mark Lofgren. Y'all, I can't tell you how fortunate we are to have a group of professionals like this. These people show up and they're prepared, they pay attention, they know what's going on, it just exude professionalism, and more importantly, they're all up there for the right reasons. And that's really important as we lead our city forward. So these are the folks that basically come up with the policy, come up with the direction. So let's talk about who makes that happen. This is our executive leadership team. These are people that take that policy, take that direction, and move it forward, put it into action, make it a reality. So in the middle there, well, we'll start at the top, City Manager Jesus Garza. All the way on the left, Assistant City Manager Derek Farrell. Let me tell you, these two guys are consummate professionals. They do a great job. There is not a day off. There's not a time off. These guys work really hard for our city, and we're very fortunate to have them and that they're sharing their talents with us. Second from the left there, our CFO, Gilbert Rainier. What do you say about Gilbert other than he just keeps providing rock-solid financial guidance for us? Our city attorney, Allison Lacey, who's really coming to her own as a professional, a consummate professional, leading our legal team and doing a great job. And then, unfortunately, as of last week, we lost Assistant City Manager Mike Etienne to another city. Mike left to be closer to family. We're certainly happy for Mike and his family, but we will miss him, and we certainly appreciate all that he did while he was here. So that's the team. So what I want to do today is I want to talk about what we've done in 2024. I want to talk about where we are right now. I want to talk about some paths forward. So let's take a look at 2024 at a glance. Talk about some of our big projects. Number one, Dayland Plaza expansion. I think you guys have all seen this. It was a huge transformative project, a little over $5 million project. We put in a stage, we put in an amphitheater, we put in some seating areas, the location and seating for the statues, water features, permanent restrooms, and we really made that place, I think a place that is a great asset for Victoria to move forward. And any given day, you'll see kids from Nazareth over there having lunch. There may be some folks coming over to take senior pictures, and there may just be a couple of people that meet up there having a cup of coffee. That's what that space is for. It's fabulous. What it's also for is events. So you see right there, since we opened Dayland Plaza, the renovated Dayland Plaza, in April. I think it was April the 6th. We've had 25 special events since opening. Victoria has responded and said, hey, this is a cool venue. We want to be here. And there's all sorts of events that have happened there. And as you'll notice on the bottom there, we are booked every weekend through the rest of the year. So let's talk about some of the events. Downtown Rhythms, the Donut Dash. I'm sorry I missed that one. The Chick-fil-A 5K. I think you see a glimpse of Dr. Young over there looking like a Tour de France rider when we did the kickoff for the city-county health challenge. And then the Martine de Leon and Patricia de la Garza statue dedication. Those are all really great events, and we look forward to having future events like that in the future. This is a transformative space, and I couldn't be more proud of the fact that we have this in our city to use going forward. So as everyone is also aware, Bicentennial is 2024. We kicked off the year with a bang with fireworks. And then on April 13th, that was 200 years to the day that Mexico approved Villa Nuestra Sonora Guadalupe de Jesus Victoria, which would become known as the colony of Guadalupe Victoria and later the city of Victoria. So on that day, April 13th, we threw a party in typical Victoria fashion. So we started off with what we called the Day of Caring. We had 18 service projects that were spread out all around the city. They ranged everything from painting walls to cleaning up debris to picking up trash. We had over 400 volunteers who spent the morning giving back to our community in a way that only Victoria can. We topped off the morning coming back to Dayland Plaza then. And everybody met. There was the home of the Six Flags Market that was sponsored by the city and Mother Cluckers downtown. We had great food. We had music. It was fun. And as you see from the picture there, and I'm sure nobody's surprised, Brother Gary Moses was there. As I've said many times, wherever two or more Victorians are gathered, there shall he be. And so no one was surprised to see him there, but we did get to surprise him by giving him a key to the city, recognizing his great contribution that he's made to Victoria and his caring attitude for us for so many years. We moved on from that to the dedication of the statues for Martine de Leon and Patricia de la Garza. Oh, wait, hang on, I'm not supposed to do that yet. Sorry, guys. See, Keisha, I told you I was going to do this. There we go. We move on to the dedication of the statues for Martine de Leon and Patricia de la Garza. The De Leon family, Martine and De Leon and Patricia de la Garza, had 11 children, and there was someone at that ceremony from each of those 11 branches of that family. We dedicated the statues, and I don't know if y'all know, there was a few tense moments in there with those statues. They came in under the cover of darkness, not on purpose, it just worked out that way. And we had folks up there till the wee hours in the morning putting those in, including one of our public works guys that we had to call and get out of bed to come and bring a piece of equipment to help in the process. But they got put in, came off great. Nobody knew, maybe till right now, but hey, it works. So, so that was a really, really cool event, or a really cool happening during that event. And then we surprised the De Leon family again with another key to the city in recognition of what they've done and what their family means as the founders of Victoria. The day wasn't over at that point. We came right back here to this room that we're in for the Bicentennial Ball. I walked in and felt like I was transformed to a whole different venue. It was fantastic, and it ended up being a really great evening. Great food, great music, there was dancing. We had a really great time, some unique entertainment, and the third key to the city was given away that day. That's a record, by the way, I'm calling it. And that was given to Miss Jeannie Morrison for her long time support of Victoria and everything that she's done for us, and certainly a well-deserved recognition in her honor. So that was the Bicentennial Day itself, but the Bicentennial year is not over. But let me show you what that day looked like in case you missed it. You know, they say, yeah, great job, communications. They say that a picture is worth 1,000 words. How much more eloquent then was that? I mean, that was fantastic. Our communications team, as usual, knocked it out of the park. So I mentioned that after the Bicentennial Ball, our Bicentennial year is not over. So the next event just happened this past weekend. It was Tas Fest, as it was called around the city maybe before we started, not Boot Fest, when we went with Tas Fest, and I think it's a rousing success. We had 2 different nights of music. We had vendors, we had kids events, we had all sorts of things for the kids to do. We had armadillo races, we had a kids corral, we had trick ropers, a tamale eating contest, a best margarita contest, and we had fantastic music with 2 nights of entertainment. Let me show you a video. This is just an overview. Our early estimates of the number of folks that showed up was somewhere over, was 12,000 to 15,000 people over both days. This is a double attendance that we've had from previous events. On Friday night, we had Tejano night with some great music, and then Saturday night, we had headliner was the Josh Abbott Band. People really showed up for that and really showed up for the family-friendly events that went all the way through Saturday. So I would be remiss if I didn't say thanks to the 200 plus staff and volunteers that made this thing happen. It was a rousing success, and we hope to build on that in the future. I think the most impressive thing, you may have seen in the paper today, is the guy that won the tamale eating contest ate 44 tamales in 10 minutes. So I'm thinking about a key for the city for that guy, you know? Anyway, so the year's not over. Over the past year, the city has partnered with over 40 events that celebrate our rich history in arts and culture here in Victoria. And that's going to continue. On your tables, I believe you have a little flyer. October 18th and 19th is 1824, a Victoria origin story. This is going to be an immersive event. We're going to have reenactors. We're going to have demonstrations. It's going to be held down in Riverside Park, and it's really going to give you a flavor for what it looked like in 1824 when our city was founded. Really looking forward to that event. Hope you can make it out. I think it'll be both educational and entertaining. Then finally, on New Year's Eve, we're going to send the year out the same way we brought it in, and that's with the fireworks display. Our New Year's fireworks was so well received that we've decided to do it again, so we'll be doing that to say goodbye to 2024, and we're hoping, and I think I can say that we're going to make that an annual event here in Victoria. So what can I say? I'm an Aggie. If you do something twice, it's tradition, right? So, here we go. So through all of that, we had some other things going on, the biggest of which was our public safety headquarters. You guys have probably seen this going up on Main and Airline. You can't miss it. It's a busy, busy place right now. This is the largest construction project ever undertaken in the city of Victoria. As you see on the slide, 70,000 square feet. It's a $52 million investment. This public safety headquarters, when it's completed, is going to house our municipal court. It's going to house the entirety of our police department and our dispatch. We can finally get everybody in the same building, and it's going to hire our fire administration. This is a transformative and historic investment in public safety in Victoria. Long overdue. I'm so glad to see it happening. And to that point, it'll be long overdue. So the existing PD department was built in 1968, and it was designed to house 50 people. We have 130 licensed officers today and dozens of civilian employees that are all in that same space. So I promise you they're looking forward to stretching their legs a little bit, and we're looking forward to putting them in a state-of-the-art facility that they can call home and do their jobs for us. Last year, we showed you guys, and let me say this. We're within budget, and we're on time. Yeah. We've had great construction, design, owners rep cooperation, and really this project is moving along great. Couldn't be happier with it. Anticipated completion, as you see, end of the summer, early fall of 2025, and we hope to have everybody up and running end of the last quarter of next year. So despite the wet summer, we're on track to do that. So we're all looking forward to that, excited about it. So last year we showed you guys some renditions of kind of what we thought this was going to look like. And they were done by the architect. This is one of them you see there, and it kind of showed, okay, here's what the lobby's going to look like. Here's what the outside is going to look like. What we wanted to do today was show you a video, kind of get you caught up on where we were when we started and where we are now. So take a peek at this. Yeah, wasn't that a great video? Great job, communications team. So obviously we still have a long way to go, but we continue to make progress. And I was on site yesterday. They actually, in the construction trailer, they have a countdown clock that counts down to the end of the project. And yesterday it was, Derek, correct me if I'm wrong, 267 days, 13 hours, X number of minutes and seconds. And that thing was ticking down the whole time we were there. So they're continuing to make progress, and this video we saw was about a week old. As of 3 o'clock this morning, they were out there pouring concrete to finish out the concrete pour on the second floor. So that should be done this morning. When I went by about 7 o'clock, they were still at it. So we're excited about this project, and we will continue to push that forward. All right, so let's talk about our investment in the future. It's October, which means for governments, it's the start of a new fiscal year, and here we go. On your table, you should have some handouts. Looks like this. This is kind of an overview of the city's budget that was adopted for fiscal year 2025. I'll hit some of the highlights of that. We have a balanced budget of $194 million. That is down from last year, primarily due to a reduction in some one-time expenditures and a focus that was made intentionally to look at increased compensation for our employees. That's very important to us. It's an issue that we want to address, and we want to stay competitive in the market so we can continue to attract and keep talented and good, hard workers. This next slide, and I believe this is in your handout, this is the fiscal year 2025 general fund. So the general fund, from that, you can see comes things like your library services, your park services, various public works, some of your admin. The biggest chunk of it, you see there being $35 million, is public safety services. So this document that you see here is referred to as the budget wheel. I don't know who came up with that, but we're just going to stick with it. So inside you see those are all the expenses of the general fund that amount to $61 million, and kind of lays those out by category. The outside of that budget wheel then shows sources of revenue to the city or that are used to pay those funds. So you'll notice that there includes things like permits and service fees, franchise tax, some other miscellaneous. The two biggest ones being number one, property tax, which is 35%, and sales tax, which is 33%. I would be remiss, I think we need to talk about this every time we pull this up. Public safety services are $35.1 million this year. Our property taxes are 20.03, which means our property taxes are not enough to provide the number one thing that the city does, and that's provide safety for our citizens. But when we combine the property tax and the sales tax, we just get over that 35 million with about 4 million left over for other functions. So that's an important thing to point out, is that our public safety services, the number one priority that we have, property tax, sales tax just covers that. Let's talk about capital improvement program. This is part of the fiscal year 2025 as well. So if you see at the top there, total capital improvement program for this year, $40.52 million. We continue to prioritize putting money into streets. Hearing the citizens and wanting better streets, we're with you. This year we're putting $28.12 million into streets and $11 million into utilities. I want to point down to the bottom of the slide there, bottom left. From fiscal year 2017 to fiscal year 2021, the city of Victoria spent $47.41 million on streets. There was an intentional effort by council to do better. From 2022 through 2025, so that's only 4 years. We've got one more year to go for a 5-year comparison. We've already spent $101.76 million on streets alone. On the map right there, you'll see capital improvements projects that are broken down by year. I believe on this map, the 2025 capital improvement projects for streets are in red. In the light blue, you'll see the ones that are planned for next year. I'll point out, these projects don't always start at the same time. They don't always end at the same time, and sometimes they overlap fiscal years. But all these projects are in the queue and ready to roll for approval when we get there, particularly the 25 ones. I will also point out that these projects are spread out throughout the city, and so we're trying to cover as much of the city as we can and trying to prioritize which streets do we need to address and which do we need to get to. So, paving the way to the goal. Our goal was 105 miles of road improvements from 22 to 26. Here's our progress. I can't take credit for this slide, but I like it. There we go. So this year, we are at 84 miles. 20 miles of streets this year, and that'll bring us up to 84 since 2022. Our goal is 105 miles through 2026, so 21 miles in next year, and we will have hit our 105 miles in 5 years. That's a really, really big accomplishment for the city. Let's talk about challenges. Just like we all have challenges from day to day, the city faces challenges in terms of how it operates, particularly with respect to budgets. One of our challenges is slow population growth. Here's a chart that shows Victoria in the blue down there compared to other cities in the state of Texas. New Braunfels, of course, knocking it out of the park. But you see various other cities that we compare to, and this is from 2000 to 2020. So this is a 20-year chart that shows during that time period we only grew 8.1%. We're starting to see a decline in our population growth, certainly here recently. And what we've noticed, no surprise to anybody, economic growth directly linked to population growth. Without growth, our tax base is slow to increase, and we run into related issues, including retention of employees and bringing employees here. Here's one of our other challenges. I go back to this. As our property tax revenue decreases and our sales tax revenue decreases, that public safety number of 35.1 million, it does not decrease. If anything, it goes up. And so we have to be cognizant of the fact that that is our number one goal. We have to make sure that we're covering that because that's the number one priority of the city that we owe to the citizens. Let's look at property tax revenue growth. It's slowing down. So this is a change in taxable property values. What you see there is that we had some growth in taxable property values starting with the pandemic and going up through 2024. We're seeing that plateau, and in fact, we're seeing that drop off. So we are back to essentially pre-pandemic levels of only 3.7% growth. Sales tax revenue. We all know what the economy is doing to us right now. This is a slide that's for all the economic nerds like me, you know, the weirdos that took economics classes as free electives in college, you know? Yeah, I'm that guy, sorry, weirdo. Anyway, so this is kind of a cool chart. This is called the R12. So the red line you see there is the inflation rate. The blue represents our sales tax revenue. So as you can see, we had inflation rising starting in 2020, going up through 21, through 22, but our sales tax was keeping pace. Our sales tax revenue was keeping pace. We had economic growth. Then we start to see inflation go down. We see us pretty much holding steady, that keeping up with inflation, we're holding steady in there. Remember that during some of that period of time, we had stimulus money that was coming in from the federal government. That helps a lot because we have money, we can spend that money, sales tax are generated. That money's gone, and not just for Victoria, that money's gone all over the country and all over the state. And so what we're starting to see now is our sales tax revenue, as you'll see on the end down there in the red box, our sales tax revenue is not keeping up with inflation. The reason for that is pretty simple. Things that we don't charge sales tax on, things like groceries, think milk, eggs, things of that nature. Vehicles, we don't get any local sales tax on vehicles. They're more expensive now than they were. We all know that. It takes a lot more money to fill the same number of bags when you go to the grocery store right now. It's just the economy that we're in. Because of that, there's not as much discretionary funds that are out there that can be spent on things that we do get sales tax on. So people are spending money on essentials because they have to. As a result, we have to be very cognizant of the fact that we're falling behind inflation rate, and our budget reflects some very conservative numbers when it comes to our sales tax revenue. I don't want this to sound like a sky is falling. I just want everybody to be aware, hey, we are aware of this and we're keeping track of this as we work through our budgets. One of the things that the struggles and challenges I'm talking about creates is recruitment and retention struggles. So 656 positions within the city of Victoria. We have 55 that are vacant right now. And that doesn't include 10 positions that we froze in 2025 in public works. So of that, we have 14 public works positions, police, fire, 13 and 9 respectively, and then 5 in Parks and Rec. We've had conversations with both potential employees that are here, employees that are leaving. We said, hey, what's going on? Why don't you want to work here? Why are you going somewhere else? It's pretty simple. It comes down to compensation and benefits. That is the driver, the leading driver, as we put there, in our recruitment of people to come in and our retention of people to stay here. Through those conversations then, we want to stay cognizant of that fact and we want to work on that fact. And so by the end of this month, I'm appointing a subcommittee of council, may be made up of 3 members, and their job is going to be throughout this next year, before we get into our next budget cycle, to really get on top of this issue, take a look at it. Let's figure out, how do we stay competitive in the market? What are some alternatives that we have? How do we keep good people? How do we recruit good people? We don't want this to be a once a year conversation. We want this to be a conversation that takes place throughout the year. So you can look for more information on that. All right. When you have challenges, you also have opportunities. And that's what we're always looking for. We're always looking for opportunities. Okay? How can we enhance livability in Victoria? How can we move forward? Master plan implementation. I'm a big believer in plan your work and work your plan. What we have here is the city doing exactly that. These are our various master plans that are out there. I don't recommend the drainage plan unless you need to sleep. But the others are pretty cool. They're pretty neat. And so I don't have time to go through all of those, but one I want to hit on is the sports facilities plan. Particularly, sports facilities plan led to a development of a plan for, there we go, where we sit right now, the community center. What we saw was that this location, this venue, has great promise for us in terms of being an economic driver to bring people to Victoria, both through conventions, through conferences, through sporting events, rodeo and equestrian type events, and we need to take advantage of the opportunity that we have with this building to see how do we make it better to make those things happen. Because those sort of things, they bring money in our community, they shop in our stores, they eat in our restaurants, they sleep in our hotels, and it leads to growth in our region. So there's our community center. Not exactly. I don't know where they found this picture, but I did make a comment that was, when that was taken, I don't think drones were a thing. So somebody's hanging out a helicopter, taking a, I don't know, like a 110 film or something, you know? I don't know. Anyway, our community center she has served us well, but let's face it, she needs some love. And one of the things that we looked at is that it's difficult for us to have multiple events because we have a single interest, we have shared bathrooms, we have single concession stands. What's also difficult on multiple events is the stage. If you have an event in here and an event in the arena, you get what they call sound bleed, okay? So it's difficult to have those two at the same time. It's also difficult to use the dome and the annex and the arena at the same time just because of the flow of traffic. The size of the dome then kind of limits us to larger events. Our arena is not adequate or safe for rodeo and equestrian events. And the office, did you ever notice when you pull up, you know where the office is? It's hard to find. If you know where it is, you know where it is. If you don't, it's difficult to find. The other thing that I never understood is when you pull up, the driveway is offset from the door. Just strikes me as weird. Maybe I'm a symmetry guy. I don't know. But these are all things that we looked at and said, okay, how do we improve on this? So here's what we came up with. This is an aerial view, obviously, of what the community center could look like going forward. So I want to walk you through this a little bit. To the far right over here, I think I can make this work, maybe. There we go. No, it hates me. Let's see. Well, you guys get it. Just verbalize it and James will do it. Yeah, there we go. To the far right over there, thank you, James. We have some sports fields, refurbished sports fields. Those look like 2 soccer fields. Just north of that, in that green space, those can also be used as sports fields, but can also be used for overflow parking. The reason we're going to need overflow parking is what we're going to do on the rest of the facility. You see the dome there. Behind it, you see what is now the arena. We're going to turn that into an exhibit hall. That dome and the arena are going to be connected together. That exhibit hall can be used for conferences, it can be used for conventions, but it will also be able to be converted and be used for recreational sports. The roof limits us from being able to use it for competitive sports, but recreational sports will fit nicely in there. What that does then is it opens up this dome to that arena for even larger events that we haven't been able to host in the past. You'll see to the right is the pad site. That pad site is for carnivals, or for when the carnival comes to town as part of the livestock show. We work closely with the livestock show to talk about what do you guys need, how do we make this the best we can for you guys. When that's not in use as a carnival site, it'll have RV hookups all the way around it, so that RVs can come in and use the new building there, which is going to be an arena. We want to build an arena for rodeo and equestrian events that we hope will be able to hold 3,000 people for rodeo events and up to 5,000 people for concerts. We're going to build another outbuilding out there to support the livestock show and use that in conjunction with their existing facility there. We're going to expand the annex over here, make it more multi-purpose, add some rooms in there. What we found out is that people, that meeting space, they like that, but they want to be able to have larger or smaller events, and so we're going to expand that. What you'll also notice there are the entrances. We have 3 separate entrances. So this area right here with the dome will have an entrance in the front coming into the building. The exhibit hall will have its own separate entrance to my right that will come off a street there. Inside the exhibit hall, we'll have separate restrooms, we'll have separate concession stands, and potentially a small office here so that can kind of function in its own facility. So if we are hosting multiple events, we don't have to be going back and forth, sharing restrooms, doing the same thing. I hit the button, sorry. And then on the arena, also separate entrance to my right coming into that so it can function as its own facility. Off to the left right there, you see our adult softball complex. It needs some love as well. And so we're looking at refurbishing those softball fields. But on the far left, you'll see one that looks a little bit different. What we hope to do there is to build a competition level baseball field that could be used for games. We want to have lighting, we want to have bleachers, we want to have concessions so that down the road, in the not too distant future, we can redo Riverside Stadium. What building this facility will do will give us a place for our teams to play. All the high schools, the generals, UHV, all those teams, they'll have a place to play while we're renovating the stadium. And then when we're through, having 2 fields to use will take a lot of pressure off of Riverside. What we've learned is that stadium gets so much use, it never gets a chance to recover. Having 2 fields, we think, will not only help in that renovation process, but help prolong the life of Riverside Stadium going forward. And then obviously, there's all kinds of increased parking around this. If we're going to build it and they're going to show up, we need a place for them to park. So let me show you this. These are the entrances that are planned. You notice that it capitalizes on the V for Victoria. At the top is the main entrance that most of you probably came through to the dome right there. Bottom left, that would be the expo hall. That's now the current arena. You see the reflection in the glass there of the Carnival Pad site. And to the right is the entrance for the new arena. Speaking of the new arena, there we go. Top left, that's how it's going to be configured for rodeo and equestrian events. And like we said, we're hoping it'll hold 3,000 people. On the bottom right, That's configured for a concert. Obviously, we can get seating down on the floor, and we hope we can bump that capacity up to 5,000. And then here's just another overview, or another perspective, if you will, of the planned facility. You'll see the Carnival Pad to the left there, and you'll see kind of the alleyway or street between it and the buildings. That can be used for vendors. It could be used for food trucks and things of that nature. And to satisfy the symmetry nerd in me, the driveway is now in line with the entrance to the building. So, so through all this planning, I want to be very intentional about saying something, that we're not just planning this stuff and saying, okay, well, now what do we do? We're also thinking about planning how are we going to pay for this. That's something that we can have all the dreams in the world, but if we can't make them a reality, what's the point? So that's in process now. We hope to get information to everybody on that as we work through those processes and identify some avenues that will let us do this. We think this will be a transformative project for Victoria. We think it'll be great for the citizens. We think it'll be great to bring people into Victoria. So having said that, we're going to build all this cool stuff. How are people going to know about us? Convention and Visitors Bureau went through a rebranding. Discover Victoria, Texas, true to Tejas. This is what's going to be used to market Victoria, both to conventions, to tourism, to people that are looking for a place to come and hold some type of event. As you'll see, they incorporated a flower there in the O for Victoria. That's kind of an homage to our roots as the City of Roses, which Tyler stole from us, by the way. But anyway, and then we incorporated very vibrant colors. Those colors, vibrant, represent South Texas, represent our culture here in Victoria, and we hope that this will be a successful campaign going forward that we can use to bring people in. The next way that we're going to try to get folks here and really move Victoria forward is by looking at our 2035 comprehensive plan. Everybody in the room is probably familiar with that. You guys have seen it. It was put together some time back. And basically, it covered these areas, these focus areas that you see on there, with the idea that, okay, here's our plan for overall growth. It was a vision that we had for how do we build a healthy community? How do we build a healthy Victoria? But like with our vision, every now and then it needs a checkup. And so we intend in the coming year to do a checkup on the plan 2035. We're going to look at, okay, what have we accomplished? What's left to accomplish? Are those items that were identified still relevant? Do they still fit in with where we are, both as a city and with the economy? We want to take a peek and say, okay, let's keep the best parts of this and let's make sure that this is where we want to go. And I think it's important that we continue that path and look at that. With this lens, we're looking at a vision for Victoria, and we want to use this lens to look at it. And this is a new initiative that we're rolling out from our economic department. We're calling it Growing Victoria. The whole idea here is that we want to put ourselves in the best position we can to keep Victoria growing. So you see some areas there: retail recruitment, small business development, quality of life, workforce development, housing development. We want this program to be a catalyst for economic advancement in Victoria. But we don't want to do this alone. We don't envision this being a City of Victoria program. We've envisioned this being a community-wide program. We want to collaborate with the various stakeholders, other governmental entities, industry, businesses, our VISD, our school systems, Victoria College, UHV. We want us all collaborating together, and we want to use that lens of Grow Victoria and ask ourselves, if we're making a decision, if we're putting policy in place, will this help grow Victoria? Because that's what needs to happen. As I showed from the slides earlier, our growth is stagnated and we need to move it forward. I'm excited about this. It's really just in its infancy. You're seeing baby steps today. We hope to develop this going forward, and we hope that everybody here will get on board with this idea of we as a community can bind together and move ourselves forward through this type of initiative. So what comes next? Well, there's a lot of really cool stuff that's happening, and most of it they won't let me talk about. So I'll drop this hint that if you're somebody who likes to go to the movies, 2025 could be really cool for you. Just throwing that out there. I will also say the Victoria is absolutely prime for development, but we know that it's not just going to show up on our doorstep. We're going to have to go out and get it. We're committed to scouring opportunities from A to Z to identify those projects and those opportunities that are going to meet our goal of growing Victoria and enhancing livability. So stay tuned. I think there's going to be some fun announcements in 2025, and I wish I could make them today, but they said no. There we go. So everything that I've just bored you with for the last 20 minutes is really encapsulated into this one sentence right here. For over 200 years, Victoria has been one of the best places to live despite the challenges of the past. And in spite of the many challenges ahead, we're going to ensure that our community continues to grow stronger, better, and more vibrant in the next 2 centuries. That's really our goal. We want to keep progress going. We want to make it stronger. We want to enhance livability. That's pretty much it. So let me do this as a point of privilege. There's a couple of people that I'd like to thank before I get off of here. The communications team for the videos. You guys rock. I don't have that skill. And then also a few people in particular I want to thank. Sam and Keisha. You guys wrote a fabulous speech for me, and I have absolutely butchered it, and I'm sorry. And then also, yeah. And then also I want to thank Jesus and Derek for helping me out in terms of input, talking about some of these issues. What do we include? What do we not include? Derek was the slide guy. Fantastic job. But I appreciate both of you guys. Thank you very much. So with that, I will be respectful of your time and just say that it is my hope that the good Lord will continue to bless each of us and bless our city. So thank you.